So, right. So we're gonna get a good. Right. So like that's what. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. Right. So right. So okay, I gotta teach y'all how to. So I have drum kits, right? And that's the whole video in reality. Right. So look, I went ahead and dragged the snare right here for any beginners, right? And then you open the piano roll, right? I mean, y'all should know this art, right? Right. So you know what I'm saying? Okay, we'll take that, right? So honestly, this is a jerk beat. So you know what I'm saying? Ka. That's the easy way to get started on. That's pretty good. And I like to copy it and sort of like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, some shit like, you know what I'm saying? Like go in, and but then now it's on that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Now we got a little, you know what I'm saying? It's moving now. You know what I'm saying? Like that typical. God dang, this is actually better than the actual beats I drop. Okay, they're cool. I'm actually do more tutorials like this. Since it sounds better live. I don't know if that's a good thing. I did a little bit of a little bit of. I'm saying we had a little bit of. Yeah, a little bit of something. I don't know what I just did, but just listen to it and figure it out on your. You know what I'm saying? You get used to it. I just copy that in reality. So if I just do like. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of, you know what I'm saying? So, look, and I'm going to add some claps to it. But first I'm going to add like a little, I feel like sometimes the crashes really do be important. Like, I'm just adding different, at this point, you know, sometimes you just gotta add random sounds and then go, I'm saying? Like that shit, that's awesome, just get something good going, it don't matter what effect, effects sometimes carry a beat a little bit. Like, I wish I had that freaking, like, I wish I had that glass break just now. Yeah, some shit like that, right? Now I don't want to open Edison up. See, sometimes you just gotta delete Edison. Like, every time Edison opens, I just delete it. I'll be honest. Just to make sure it doesn't ruin my song! Right? Every time, right? Just make sure just make sure every time you X out Edison every time. You never know. You never know what it can do. I honestly, I never know. That's why I just delete it. trick that I learned from Analog Princess, where he basically turns the limiter all the way down and comes down with this. Now, honestly, coming down with the limiter, it takes a lot of confidence as a producer for you to do this, because it's gonna make the beat sound, well, it is gonna make it sound worse, but it's gonna make it, give it a little crunchiness to it, to where it gives that little crunchy SoundCloud feel that Xavier So Based connoisseurs are looking for. You know, that bass that's kind of, you know, yeah. So when it kind of gets like to a little bit of a good, you know what I'm saying? You feel that? Then you add the saturation to give it a little. Actually turn the mids down so you get that the highs and the kicks are just boom 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 boom, while the middle the song is just, you know, you still feeling it, boom, you know, that's making you of the EQ. That's how you do it. So I'm gonna make sure my levels are not peaking right now, because remember, you have to control the bass. Don't let it hit too hard. Okay, you can make the bass hit hard as you want. Make sure you're controlling it with some compressors and stuff. Make sure you're controlling it. And then make sure it's not hitting red. You know, when it's crunchy and it's not hitting red, that's how you know you got it right. Because you're just boosting stuff, but it's not ever hitting red. So you know that it's knocking, but it's not busting somebody's speakers in half. This might bust somebody's speakers in half too, but you know, at least you're not peaking, right? You're trying to stab people's ears, but you're not trying to stab their ears for real. You're not trying to like damage their ears, but you're trying to give them some crunchiness to it. You know, makes it feel like right? So look, I know I didn't say much in this video, right? But you can learn a lot from this. You know, if you stick with me, right? If you watch all my videos, right, and just shut up, right? You just delete all your tabs and just look from within. You know, you can make anything, right? So the sauce is just the fact that, you know, because honestly, I didn't give anybody any. You know, I didn't give anybody any sauce this video. I mean, well, I kind of did. You know, I just told you, right? So, look, I mean, you see it, right? I think y'all can figure it out. I mean, because everybody who uses FL, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know, I'm tripping. This is, I don't know if this is for, honestly, I don't know if this is tutorial or not. You know, this is just me, flexing that I can make beats. This is stupid, right? So, look, when I pull up, so, right, look, there we go. Look, that's what it is, right? And you know what I'm saying? You kind of want to, well, I mean, whatever. You know, a little something, something. I just did something random there. You know, I don't even know what I just did, but you could just, you know what I'm saying? You could just arrange it and make it, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, right? So, and then, you know, I could come in here, you know, do a leader, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, my fault. So yeah, you know, I could come in here. I didn't even notice my hood came off. You know, I was trying to look cooler for the video, but you know, whatever, whatever. You know, it's fine, right? So, you know, I just, you know, I sort of, you know what I'm saying? I just come in here and like, you know, add a little lead here, you know, because somebody said like, or you know, or anybody, you know, any tutorial or any video or any song, you know what I'm saying? You know, you might want to add a little counter melody to it, right? And so I just come in here with the lead, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever, like about 19 seconds, right? I could come in with a little lead right here to really throw people off guard, you know. Like that's really the sauce, you know. I add a little lead to it, because you know, in Xavier So Bass type beats or any type beats you listen to, or you know, let's just for example Xavier So Bass type beat. You know, you're hearing the pads, the pianos, the drums, and then you know you're like, okay, this is hitting hard, but then this little weird lead comes in or something like a little you know, just a little, you know, add something weird to it, you know, a little weird lead to it, which makes everything 10 times better. Because you know, I already did the pads, the pianos, the whatever. Okay, honestly, I didn't even do any pianos. To be honest, this is more like a ksuuvi type beat. You know, or because you know you're losing. You know, you could either do it two ways. You know, I just started doing it this way, but you could do it two ways. You know, you can have multiple instruments. You know, doing different things, but it's like only one little melody, like you know, do 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 do, like with the piano, you know, pads, you know, you know, none of them, yeah, you know, whatever or whatever you want, right? So you could either do that, or you could just take one instrument and just like play a bunch of ensembleness inside of that futuristic melody or that futuristic instrument that you have and you already set, and you know you could make some more, whatever, make it two, three, you know. It just you know what I'm saying, it just depends on what I like, you know. Like I can do another tutorial where I'm doing pianos and you know different instruments. This tutorial is more like, you know what I'm saying, you're getting it done quickly. So you know, honestly, either way, you know, I always think I should come in with a lead or something, you know, as the song continues, you know, a little weirdness to it. Like, you know, every time I made a beat that came in with that, you know what I'm saying, came in with the weirdness, you know, that's going to capture the Xavier So Based experience that you're looking, the Xavier So Based type beat that you're looking for. Because it's always going to come in with something a little, you know, a little glass, you know what I'm saying? It sounds like the emoji, it sounds like the glasses emoji or something, you know, or like they got the glasses on, right? So we gotta find an instrument that makes you feel like the emoji, you know, like the emoji with the glasses, and he's like, you know, like the little buck teeth, you know, you gotta. So I'm gonna just find an instrument that makes me feel that way. So look, okay, that's a good one. Honestly, when you go into leads of any plugin, you're gonna find something weird. So look, yeah, that makes me feel kind of weird. You know, that makes me like, you know, you're in the back of class. You're in the back of class. You have your glasses. I never had glasses, but let's say you're a nerd, right? And you're just cooking beats up in the back of the class, getting in trouble. You know, that's the type of instrument that you know, right? So you know, this feels like that, yeah, like that's what that is. That feels like I'm nerding out on beats. right. So, why did I hear that? I heard something, right? And my laptop is plugged in. I got scared. I thought my laptop was gonna die. So, man, all right. So, that's how you feel as a producer 24/7. Just yawns all day. That's how you feel as a producer. Just, you know, as a, I need to shut up. All right. So, look, I go back, I go here. I go, you're running out of available memory. Go fuck your, I mean, oh, ooh, I'm getting banned. I'm getting banned from YouTube. Oh no. Oh, for real, for real. Right, so we're gonna play it from here then. And I think I should have probably turned the lead down, but um, yeah. So that's basically I hope y'all got something. Oh, that that clap just like literally just made the volume go to red. I'm sorry for any users, listeners, right? So, um, yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. That's pretty much what that is. Honestly, I got two types of people here. Yeah, honestly, I got actually four types of people on my YouTube channel. One is like, okay, he used to make music. I'm gonna listen to his music, right? And then whatever he does, I'm gonna stick with him. Type beats or whatever. He started dropping Xavier type beats. Okay, I'm with that. I'll still be cool with that, right? You have the other type of person. They heard the Samurai Shampoo beats. They heard my music, and then when I started making Xavier type beats, they'd be like, I'm not on this channel, and I'm not gonna watch this channel anymore. Fuck this guy. He was making this other shit, and now what is this? I feel like it's ass. And you know what? If you feel like it's ass, perfectly fine. Just unsubscribe. Congratulations. You played yourself because I'm not gonna switch. What I feel like doing. So whatever, right? So the third type of person is the person that just started listening to me. They found xaviersobased type beats. They're a little like, okay, he used to make and they go back to the other music and they be like, oh, okay, he was going hard. And, honestly, that's my favorite. Okay, look, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not gonna say like I have favorite fans or whatever, but those are my favorite people because like they coming in and they seeing something new. They be like, okay, I mess with that, and then I'm gonna go back to his past stuff, and they be like, oh shit, like he used to be making music, type stuff. So I'm a fan, right? I'm actually targeting those people. I'm targeting those people. But the fourth listener, right? The fourth listener is you. Okay, that's okay. You know what? I tried to make something heartwarming, but it just sounded stupid, right? So look, like usual, right? So but or you have to, sometimes when you say something heartwarming, when you really analyze it, it's just dumb, but I'm gonna make it right. So look, the fourth type of listener is the person who just like, even I never mind. I just messed it up. So look, honestly, look, I just a greatness to everybody who listens. The haters, the lovers, anything of that. Nature. Right. So have a good day. Congratulations. You made it all the way through the video. You gave me enough watch time. I appreciate you. Right. Have a good day.